warm welcome to our Technology Game Changer series. I'm Avinash, one of the founders of Global Talent Exchange. We're a global platform mobilizing emerging tech talent from skill-rich areas to areas with skill shortages. It's a great honor and my privilege to be hosting an eminent panel like you to discuss one of the game-changing technologies, blockchain. Of course, technology today is pushing the boundaries of human possibilities and working towards making life better across the world by accelerating social and financial inclusion. It has also taken on the critical task of making people and the planet healthier. With India emerging as the largest technology hub and companies in India chasing audacious goals, it brings emerging technologies at the forefront. The idea, of course, of this series is to trigger an exchange of viewpoints amongst experts like yourselves and see how we are placed as a nation to seize the opportunity in each of these emerging areas. Blockchain over the years has been extolled as a revolution in the business technology. In the 9 years since its launch, companies, regulators, and financial technologists have spent countless hours exploring its potential. The resulting innovation has started to reshape business processes in multiple use cases. Let's hear it from the thought leaders of blockchain technology on how this technology is evolving around the globe. How is India poised to seize the opportunity? What are the policymakers doing to create a conducive environment? How is the academia contributing to it? And is there enough talent available within this technology?
End user for whom the project is created, for whose problem you are solving by that project, he is nowhere in the picture, nowhere. And that is where we thought smart contract can actually help there. First of all, as you know, smart contract by definition, it will automate the total contractual process itself. So that itself bring efficiency, as all of us know. But more than that, this validation kind of thing, decentralization kind of thing, all these things, the attributes of smart contract, which are given through blockchain, Ethereum, can actually help to solve all the problems which we have grouped in 4 actually categories. One, of course, is the time overrun. The second is the cost overrun. Both are related also. The third is the arbitration. And the fourth is the litigation. If these 4 things you can avoid, and that is what blockchain smart contracts promises to do, so then we can save a lot of money also, and we can really help the government and the industry together in the PPP mode to solve the real problem for which on paper they try to do it actually, but it will be actual. And validation will be done through the end user.
Do you think that it'll ever be a part of our policy to incorporate smart contracts in the near future? Or what is the government stance? What is the industry stance?
So when you look at Information Technology Act, there are 3 elements which I think can benefit if it gets refreshed in the right manner. One is on just authentication piece. Just making that authentication piece technologically agnostic and not prescribe a kind of a architecture or a process which will then create uncertainty for blockchain-based authentications. Again, if you just look at it, smart contracts are not barred. They are enabled even today, so you can do everything and all of that. But what is required is a much more enabling framework from a technology perspective that again can be enabled by making the Information Technology Act a little more tech agnostic and enabling. The third aspect is really about payments now, which is not so much about the Information Technology Act, but that goes back to the basic I think and it is not just about policy, it is about the use case itself. So if we are looking at a blockchain as a means of transferring value, I think it's a very limiting kind of a subset. But if you bring all the 3 things which I mentioned together, authentication, smart contracts, and payments, that's when we can really leverage the full or if not full, a significant potential of blockchain. So
the other shot in the arm, not necessarily related to pandemic, has been how all these technologies have represented themselves. If you look at AI, if you look at ML, RPA, AR, VR, they are completely representing themselves from a metaverse perspective. And blockchain as an underlying technology is enabling a lot of investments in digital assets. In the olden days, people were afraid of investing in digital assets for the fear of being copied. And there was no technology wherein you can differentiate a fake art from a real art. I'm talking about the digital art. And that's why we have things like CryptoKitties, we have things like NBA Top Shots, which have gone through the roof in the ages of non-fungible tokens. So we see a lot of blockchain applications coming in from a digital assets perspective, from a digital investment perspective, bringing in a new asset class for investors. And in addition to that, pioneering a lot of stuff in the peer-to-peer space, whether it is peer-to-peer finance, decentralized finance, and decentralized finance is also being applied in the gaming industry, where the gaming guilds are being built, wherein they're raising money from a decentralized finance perspective and investing in the game and giving an opportunity to people make money in the game and also monetize the gaming assets.
If you look at this whole banking journey, and apart from, there are more than 300-400 operations wherein banks working in data centers, back offices, in lending operations, while doing some co-lending or a partnership with the fintechs. I think it gives an opportunity for a blockchain to come and say, I can really nurture this whole banking ecosystem, not only for one bank, but as a consortium with the many banks coming together, or even for it will really help a regulator like RBI and the IRD and many others to really take down various controls on a largely enhanced controls for a better banking.
What's really happening in India in terms of blockchain? So I would divide that into two different areas. One is the crypto side, or tokenization side, and second is the enterprise blockchain. When it comes to cryptocurrency or tokenization, as all the panelists are saying, we have a major challenge in terms of legal frameworks. We don't have legal framework. Because of that, adoption is a big challenge, and that is rightly so, because there are various challenges, if I would say, because it's not something that one country can take a decision and decide that okay, today onwards Bitcoin or Ethereum would be legal, because being a decentralized architecture where anonymity is there, I can transfer Bitcoin or cryptocurrency from my player, like from my account, to anybody in the globally. How do we control that? To control that, all the countries have to come together and create regulatory framework at a global level. And that's a challenge, and because of that challenge, finding a solution is not that easy, and regulatory frameworks are taking its time. But at the same time, what government is doing, they announced that they're going to come out with their own digital currency. And in my viewpoint, that is a very, very historical decision what the country government is taking. It's not only happening in India. It is almost all the countries globally have started taking that initiative. But in India, we have done actually a lot of work, because we are somehow indirectly involved in that, the company who's working on that. So that is going to make a drastic change in terms of innovation, and it will open up a lot of doors for especially banking and financial sector. Because once the CBDC is there in the market, it will require adoption of that digital currency for various enterprise applications which banking and financial sectors are going to roll out. Apart from that, the major change, that was the story related to cryptocurrency, but decentralized finance, metaverse, NFT, in these areas, a lot of innovation work is happening, and I can see that we're also involved in some of the work what we're doing. But again, there's always a chance of regulatory framework. And unless we, apart from cryptocurrency, if we don't have some kind of solution in that side, innovations are difficult.
Okay, so incentive will come definitely, but this association somewhere has to be broken down. Somewhere, you have to understand, separate that out very clearly. That blockchain is the technology, Bitcoin is a use case. Right, these two things has to be differentiated very clearly. It has to be enunciated. It has to be articulated very clearly, and only then people can start looking at the beauty.
Cryptocurrency is a great use case, and blockchain is a great platform, no doubt. It's just one good use case, yes. And there is literally in Dubai, if you go, you just throw a stone, you'll hit somebody in the crypto space. That's for sure. I was just there for some time, and everyone talked about crypto. Very few talked about blockchain. Anyway, and everybody thinks it's interchangeable.
But blockchain is a great technology by itself. The government adoption that is going into it, that was spoken about as well previously, leads to a lot of B2C, B2G, D2G, and several other scenarios, which is going to gain a lot of traction in the coming years. And it has definitely got a great future ahead.
So I think there is a need now, and it is possible also to do some physical webinars, seminars, even at the grassroots level, not only tier 2 and tier 3, through the schools and colleges and training centers, skill development centers. A lot of them are there, like NASCOM is here. They also have many, and there is a National Skill Development Corporation of India where they have sector skill councils. So that is where, so it has to be actually real awareness can be brought by doing it face to face. That is my impression, especially when you talk of tier 2 and tier 3.
Basically, more thrust can be there from the government side through NASCOM or various bodies, because bringing awareness not only at working professionals or students, it's a corporate level also. Awareness is required.
Yes.
Because when we meet corporate, they don't really understand how powerful the technology, what it can really do, and how it can benefit. And there's always a resistance. And the real innovations, according to me, can come through startups. And startups always basically they have a problem of cash flow. They cannot spend or invest too much in bringing awareness, talking to universities and corporates. So government can actually, if they can incentivize startups to come forward and bring awareness about different use cases and how it works and bring POCs, that can really help in bringing awareness all over.
Do you think we are getting enough talent, or we have a very, I don't think we have a very strong resource pool. I personally don't think it's a very large resource pool. We have good resources, yes. So is awareness enough, or do we think we need to add something more? Like, how about getting their hands dirty and working on some real life projects? Because just by awareness,
is it possible? So intent is important, and that's where we see from a will and a skill issue. If somebody has a will issue, that person will never be able to learn. But somebody has a skill issue, we can contribute to that, and that is where the organizations, and that is where the industry and the industry bodies like NASCOM and the others can come to the fore. Over 4 or 5 years of running this particular practice, what I realized is people will become proficient in any of the technical stack, whether it is C, C++, JavaScripting, Node.js, React.js, whatever it is, right? Solidity and various other things. But they lack practical experience in implementing those environments and developing use cases. That's where you need to create the sandboxes. That's where you need to create an opportunity for these resources to get their hands dirty from a live implementation perspective.
Actually, we see a lot of skill gap in blockchain technology in terms of all these spaces that have been spoken about so far, like metaverse or NFT or distributed ledgers and enterprise blockchain itself, mainly because the demand for that is not seen just as high in the technology implementations itself as yet. So there's a lot that goes into this Some of the challenges that blockchain faces are inefficient technology designs and the security concerns, and if there is any flaw in the coding, it exposes the system to a lot of vulnerability. So these are the primary challenges, and also about the regulations that a lot of my co-panelists have been talking about. The government regulation itself, specifically around cryptocurrencies, is again another limitation. When there is no regulations, when there is no specific guidelines and rules, it is harder for companies to implement solutions in this particular space.
Important that we have had a latest education policy wherein we could see AI or any of those emerging tech was a part of even academia. So I think bringing on computers is already there. Bringing on DLT or blockchain or any of those cryptographic concepts before 10th itself will give a lot of opportunity and make that wave or hype of a blockchain, right? So blockchain is such a great technology and it will really do away. That's a reality. It's a foundational technology. With the pace, it will really do away all this. But I think we have to remove that hype of it's a very complicated technology to learn.
I think there are three areas where we need education. First is probably the government itself. There are many pockets or many employees or many decision makers within government itself who needs education in terms of blockchain. It is not awareness. It is more about what is the real impact of blockchain, right? Second is institutions. We have to enable institutions. And third is probably we have to adopt a community approach, an open community approach, which I see in the crypto space. So first, the government projects, when I said about accelerating, I am directly involved in the NPCI going international projects where DBS Bank is also one of the partner. I see the spirit with which all stakeholders, the pilot banks, NPCI, RBI, everyone comes together because government has put a date, RBI has put a date, and that is a deadline. Everyone has to adopt, right? So if the priority is set, things will happen.
So one, I think the entire discussion from industry gets drowned in the cryptocurrency space, and that has distracted the government also. And I think we need the blockchain technology part of the industry to really stand up and be part of the conversation to push the government to do anything. I think that's one. Second, I think there is, if I just pick on what Prasanna said, from a government, because government by default will have a big role when you think of scale projects and all of that, right? So I think we are, as NASSCOM, we are working on this idea of a super cluster approach, where can we bring the tech industry, the user industry, and the academia, and in the industry, both the startup and the enterprise level. So I think that kind of and it's very difficult. So you think of a use case, you want to do this, but if I want to say, okay, who are these 5 people who are willing to put their money and energy and take this forward? Probably very difficult to find those people, right? So if you put that together, I think we can have a serious conversation with the government.
And I think the emerging technologies, basically AI, IoT, blockchain, probably 5G, which we are very near to. All these together will be creating big social impact, especially in terms of smart cities, our farming supply chain, the food ecosystem, ending corruption, various e-governance case studies. I think, but the key is getting that one big impactful use case out there, government taking the lead and making sure that it reaches everyone.
Let's make it for India. I believe that all rules and regulations got to be for us. It's not going to be for the rest of the world. So I'm happy to be a part of a very nice initiative. I'm sure all of us great minds out here get together. At least let's make a bigger start than what we've done. Let's not work in silos. Let's work as a consolidated team that can actually create an impact. Maybe 5 years down the line, people will remember this conversation and say, well, listen, there were some guys who really did something in this space. We're all doing it in our own ways.
Wonderful, yeah.
Bringing it together is, I think, the secret sauce. We got to find that secret sauce, and that's what's missing, I feel, right now. So bringing all this, making real world connections, real world use cases, I think that's going to be the thing which is going to make blockchain more palatable.